Superintendent of North Branch Area Public Schools. Welcome to our first Facebook Live event. Tonight we're here to talk about our levy referendum that will take place next week, Tuesday, May 23rd. For those of you that have not voted yet, the polling places are open tonight until 8 o'clock, and they will also be open late next Monday from 7 a.m. in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, and then of course the day of the election from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. I want to just give you a little bit of logistics to set the night. I have next to me Patty McCutcheon of KIS, who is here to do some interpreting for our families that need this type of service, and we're very glad to have her with us. There is other staff in the room that are going to help me by giving me questions, and so don't be surprised if you may hear some other voices other than mine. And I'll apologize right away. I've got a terrible cold, so you might have a coughing spell or two, but I'll do my best to keep it under control. So back to why we're here tonight. I'm here to answer your questions about the referendum. I'll answer as many as I possibly can. So how do you get the questions to me? You get the questions to me by either submitting submitting your questions in the comment section, or if you would like to remain anonymous, you can email your questions to
Go ahead, Pat.
Yes, apologies. The question was, what kind of improvements will occur at the high school?
Thank you. So for some of you that were online, you may have noticed a gap. We had a little bit of technology glitch. There's quite a bit that will be done at the high school. The high school has a boiler that's been there since 1975 and needs to be replaced. The HVAC system needs to be upgraded. We have carpeting needs, flooring needs, we have lighting needs, we have some window needs, we have classroom furniture needs. The auditorium is a place of concern for us because some of the upgrades to the auditorium have not happened since it was built, and so we need to upgrade the lighting and the sound system, the seating rather, and so there's just an awful lot that needs to be done at the high school. There's learning space upgrade that is needed in the commons area, and there's also outdoor improvements that will take place at the high school, which perhaps I'll get to later, but I think it's important for me to stress that the wood shop at the high school will also see a great deal of improvement with their equipment. The family and consumer science, or what some people call home ec room, that will also be upgraded. And the art room, the art teacher there can tell you that the kiln is quite old. So there will be lots of classroom equipment upgrades, building infrastructure upgrades, technology upgrades, and so on.
Question, do all three questions have to pass for this to be a successful referendum?
No, they do not have to pass, all three of the questions. Question 1 can pass on its own, and question 3 can pass on its own. The only question that is contingent upon another one passing is question 2. Again, question 2 cannot pass without question 1 first passing.
What kind of improvements will happen at the middle school?
Well, the middle school will see improvements just like the high school will with regard to classroom furniture, cafeteria furniture. The building envelope has some improvements that are needed. There's also a counseling center that is planned for the middle school. The gymnasium also needs to have dehumidification as well. So there's similar improvements that are going to occur in all the buildings, safety and security cameras. And probably what is a source of great consternation for our families at the middle school is the traffic flow at the middle school. The parking lot would see some improvements, and we know that we could improve the traffic patterns within our property around the middle school. We can't do anything to change 14 and Grand Avenue. However, there's conversations about that happening perhaps with the city, but we can do some things to improve and upgrade our traffic patterns at the middle school, which would be really exciting for our families because I know people get so tired of the logjam that happens when they're dropping their kids off and picking them up.
Vanessa has a question. She's wondering how the referendum will affect North Branch sports programs from being cut.
Hi, Vanessa. I'm glad you asked that question. It's always a concern whenever we talk about budgets, and this particular election referendum is to maintain, improve, and invest in our schools. The way that it will help if it is passed in not cutting programs is that we have to take some general fund money now to pay for some of the things that we need to replace. And if we pass this election, for sure the first question will pay for a lot of our upgrading of our facilities and take care of some of the needs that if we don't pass it, will have to come out of the general fund. And eventually that will affect the classroom, it will affect things like activities and so on. So that is the effect, is if the election does not pass, that's how the programs would be cut.
Question: what items in the referendum will go towards safety and security?
That's a really good question. Well, I tell you, our bus drivers will tell you right now they need new radios. So we would get new radios for our bus drivers. And I'm sure many parents with kids on the bus know that our bus cameras don't work on a regular and consistent basis. We need to upgrade our bus cameras. We also need to upgrade our cameras that we have at our current sites. And we need to add more, frankly. It's unfortunate in the day in which we live, but we have to be very conscious of safety and security. Sunrise River School right now only has cameras on the first floor. We need to add cameras on the second floor. The building in which I'm at right now, the Ed Center or the old primary school, does not have the necessary cameras it needs, and we don't have the cameras that we should have outside. So those are just some of the ways that safety and security would be impacted. But also something else that people don't necessarily think about with safety and security is the sprinklers here. Or rather, we don't have sprinklers here at the Ed Center, the former primary school, and we would add those sprinklers to this building should the election pass, should the first question pass.
Next question: is getting a hockey arena part of the referendum?
Well, I wish. I'm a hockey fan. People that know me know I love Gopher hockey, and boy, our Vikings sure had a great year this year. Congrats to that team and to the coaches and the players and the kids and the parents that have supported that for so long. Unfortunately, we cannot afford a hockey arena at this time. I know that our hockey boosters are working really hard to try to get one built down in Stacy, and we're really supportive of that effort. Hockey arenas take about $250,000 a year in operating costs to maintain, and we just don't have that kind of money to put forward for a hockey arena. So at this time, we do not have that a part of the referendum.
Will the referendum prevent teacher cuts?
The question, will the referendum prevent teacher cuts? Again, this is one of those questions that I can only answer by saying if the referendum fails, we will have to take money out of the general fund to pay for needed repairs to our building. And that will, in essence, hurt the general fund money that we can set aside for teachers. So it will definitely affect teachers in the future, but this particular election does not pay for teachers. It's a bond referendum and a capital levy referendum. So directly we don't pay for teachers. However, out of that capital levy, we could pay for support staff that support technology, at least 3 support staff that support technology in the classroom. So our teachers would be affected if it does not pass because, again, we have needs that are not going away, the costs are going up. We have to consider each of our needs very carefully, and we're at a point where you just wonder how much money you keep pouring into things that are so old and outdated before you have to replace them. So that is where the difficulty comes in with maintaining the class size where it's at, or even improving it.
Heather would like to know, why doesn't the school district budget for these items?
Well, Heather, we do. We prioritize every single year. The problem is the legislature doesn't give us enough money to be able to cover all of the costs and all of our needs. We wish it did. We lobby all the time. I can tell you that I was in the Speaker of the House's office this year talking directly to him along with 4 others about our needs. So we lobby all the time, and we let him know that these types of elections can be really difficult for communities. They can be divisive. They can be hard for people that can't afford it, and we ask the legislature all the time to fully fund our districts. But they don't, and they've given us this mechanism, which is a bond referendum, to pay for facilities, and so this is one of the avenues that we have. But we do use the funds as wisely as possible that we have, and so if this election fails, we'll go back to the drawing board again and prioritize our high need items and do the best we can with the money that we have and hopefully limit the impact on the classroom.
Jeremy asks why we went back to a 5-day week knowing there would be a budget shortfall, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the difference between operating and facilities.
Sure. Well, Jeremy, a lot of people have questions about the 4-day versus the 5-day week. We went back to the 5-day week when the funding changed. We had promised our families that if something happened at the legislature and we were able to access more funding, we would go back to a 5-day week. A lot of people liked the 4-day week in our community, and a lot of people did not like it. We know it was a point of contention, but we also know that our families did a great job of making it work, and our teachers and our staff were second to none at making the 4-day school week work. But there was a change at the legislature. Governor Dayton and the legislature worked hard to come up with a process whereby school boards can levy a certain amount of money per student without going to the voters. And each school board that I have worked with since then has taken advantage of that funding stream and have made sure that we maximize the use of those dollars. And so we were able to keep our promise to the community and to go back to the 5-day week. The difference between an operating levy and a bond election is that an operating levy can be used to bolster your general fund. It can be used to pay for staff, classroom teachers, it could be used to pay for administrators, it could be used to pay for salaries. A bond election is targeted at the facilities. So sometimes people talk about bonds and they use the word buildings just so that you can identify and more closely link the two together. So Jeremy, I hope I've answered your question.
Vanessa would like to know, wouldn't getting a pool bring in income for the district?
Well, Vanessa, I've never studied that. I know that there are people that would like to see a community-wide pool in the school district. We did a facility study that took us a number of years, and we had community involvement, and a pool was mentioned by some. We even did what is called a thought exchange process, in which we put it out to our community, our staff, and our students last year, asking them about whether or not they'd like to see a pool option in the election. We bring all that information back to our school board, and the school board ended up saying no. At this time, a pool, we just can't afford it. The operating costs are too high. So we did look and study what other districts had done to support a pool and what kind of revenue they generated, and we still found that there was too big a gap in money that would require us to use funds out of the general fund to pay for the operating costs.
Amanda wonders, how much will artificial turf save the district?
Amanda, that's a question that many districts study and look at, obviously, when they move towards artificial turf. I can tell you that it will save us cost in human resources costs. We won't need as many people cutting grass, obviously, on the field. We won't need the fertilizer and so on. But right off the top of my head, I don't have an exact cost on what it's going to save. And we know that the main reason that we have artificial turf in this election is because we will get so much more usage out of our fields. I've been fortunate to be the superintendent in North Branch Area Public Schools for 10 years, and I have heard every single year for 10 years from our youth sports people that we need more time on the fields. We need to have our seasons extended, and so we've listened carefully, and we know and have done our research on artificial turf, and we are confident that we will get far more usage out of it than we do our current field right now.
What kind of improvements will occur in the classrooms?
Well, the classroom improvements are, again, classroom furniture. I can tell you that I asked all of our teachers to put forward their needs. Tell me what it is that they need for the kids. Teachers at Sunrise River School talked about the classroom furniture, that it doesn't fit the needs of the kids. It actually doesn't fit them physically as well as it should. Here at the Ed Center, we have really little kids here, as young as 3 years old, and we need to upgrade the furniture that we have here. So furniture and casework, those kinds of things, and also air quality. That is something with the upgrading of the HVAC systems that our kids are really going to benefit from in the classroom. And then again, technology. If question 3 passes, there will be more technology for our students. We will be able to supply them with the digital devices that are current at the time, and so they will be able to be competitive moving forward and as they matriculate through our system. We want to make sure that we supply our teachers with the necessary tools that they have to be successful. They do a great job on a very limited budget. They are such great stewards of our money. but we have to make sure that we take care of their needs so that they can, again, supply our kids the best education possible in North Branch Area Public Schools, because our kids, our community, our families, everybody deserves that.
I'm going to combine two questions, a question from Jan and a question from Carlene. First part of the question is, what is the financial impact on a household if the referendum passes? The second part to this question is, what happens if the referendum doesn't pass?
Okay, so Carlene, and who was it?
Jan.
And Jan. Okay, so question one, and I'm going to make sure, I'm going to look at my sheet just to make sure I have this accurate. We went to the county and we asked what the average home is assessed at here in North Branch. Some of you are going to have one that's assessed right at this value. Some will be higher, some will be lower. So you can go to our website and use our tax calculator to make sure that you can look at the exact impact on your home. But for an average home valued at $175,000, if question one passes, it will be 83 cents per month. Excuse me. Question two passes, it will be $4.42 per month, and if question three passes, it will be $4.08 per month. So that's a total of $9.33 if all three questions pass. If these don't pass, it's going to be difficult for us to maintain what we're doing right now with technology. Our staff has reached a saturation point with the number of devices that we have for kids. We need to make sure that we have adequate staffing so we can service the devices, so that we can service the teachers' needs, and so on. And by the way, if you're a parent with students in our school district, I want to let you know that if question three passes, the $40 technology fee that you're paying on an annual basis will be waived. So that would help cover that increase of $4.08 per month. So we're worried that if we have to repair our boilers, if we have to repair our windows, if something happens that's a big cost factor, it's going to take money out of the general fund, and eventually it will hurt the classroom by decreasing the number of teachers we have or increasing class sizes. So we want to make sure that we maintain the high quality education that we have here in North Branch Area Public Schools. We're really proud of our kids and our staff and what they are able to do.
I'm going to combine a couple of questions that we've received on email now.
Okay.
What kind of improvements will occur at Sunrise? Mm-hmm. And what kind of improvements will happen at the Education Center?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take Sunrise River School first. Again, I mentioned that teacher that talked to me about needing new classroom furniture. I've mentioned earlier security cameras need to be upgraded. We don't have any on the second floor. We need that. We need new cafeteria furniture as well. And also we've seen a need occur that is also part of safety and security. We would like to add an entrance or an exit, whichever way you look at it, on the back side of Sunrise River School, so that there's not just one way into that cafeteria, so that there's another way in and out of that cafeteria. We believe that will help with the traffic flow situation there with our students and be a much safer environment, as we have so many students in that building entering and exiting. So those are just some of the improvements that will occur. And again, if there's technology needs, infrastructure needs there, those will be improved as well, and devices, etc. And then at the Ed Center, well, this building will be converted somewhat if question one passes. We will move our kindergarten classrooms here eventually. I don't have an exact date for you, but we will move our kindergarten out of Sunrise River School to help alleviate with some crowding there, and to bring the students here and align our early childhood programs well with our kindergarten classrooms. So we'll do some updates here. We'll bring the kitchen back up online. Our windows that are behind me that you may or may not be able to see, I'm not sure how wide angle the view is, but our single pane in this building, and they're not energy efficient. We're losing dollars there. And again, sprinklers in this building, security cameras. There's just a lot of needs that are situated right here in this building. And then again, those boilers, our steam boilers, 1961. So that is, 39 years to get to 2000 plus another 17. So they're getting old and they're on their last leg, believe me. So those are some of the improvements that come to mind.
Pardon me, a question related back to when you were talking about technology and increased screen time, and wondering if that's really what's best for kids. We
leave it to our teachers to make those decisions about whether or not the students are using too much digital devices in their classroom. Our teachers have great judgment about that. They, again, use the devices to supplement their instruction. I know that's a big concern for families in this day and age. They worry about that. We worry about that too. We provide our teachers with great professional development, and we talk long and hard about augmenting their instructional program with digital devices, and not necessarily having day after day where the kids are doing just nothing but screen time. In fact, our kids know when they're told, lids down, that means close the computer, we're not going to use them right now. And so I think our teachers do a great job of blending instruction, and that so far has not been a concern that has been raised with me personally, that a teacher has been, or any instructional staff for that matter, has been using technology to a great degree, so much so that the students are not getting that human interaction, which is number one important.
A couple questions about what kind of improvements we'll see in traffic flow as a result of the referendum, and is the city or county contributing to those improvements at all monetarily?
Well, I can tell you that the traffic flow improvements that we're talking about, we are bearing all of those costs. The city and the county are not involved in the traffic pattern improvements that we're talking about because they are occurring on our grounds. We would do some traffic improvement at Sunrise River School and again at the middle school. We will likely have a different flow in and out of the middle school, try to make it better, add turn lanes, for example, as you exit the middle school, and then perhaps have another second way out of the area where it's visitor parking right now, right in front of the school, and maybe go into the bus corral area a little bit there to add some lanes there for people to move in and out. I can tell you that I have a meeting next week with the city who is looking at doing something on County Road 14 and Grand Avenue, so I'm not sure if I can tell you what that might be, and I don't want to breach any confidence, but I'm just going to say be looking for that.